Hey guys, Caleb Thornton here, back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a more budget-friendly custom keyboard build, as well as doing some simple modding on it. So maybe if you're wanting to get into the world of custom keyboards, or you're just looking for a more budget-friendly hot swap build, which is a great place to start if you are hopping into that custom keyboard world, this video can definitely be helpful for you, so let's hop into it. For the chassis of the build itself, we are going to be using that Barebones TKL from Glorious, and I was originally going to pop those Glorious Panda switches in here, but those aren't the most budget friendly, so I decided to go with Kailh Reds, and along with that as well, they do have a translucent top housing, which is going to make for a better pairing with the keycaps we're going to be using, which are those HyperX Pudding Keycaps. So having that translucent top housing with those frosted edges on the keycap are going to make for a more vibrant RGB look, which is kind of what we're going for with the build. So overall, I think it's going to all pull together nicely, and of course, you guys will see the finished product soon. The first thing we're going to want to do on this for mods is get these stabilizers out of the board, and with a plate mounted stabilizer on a hot swap board like this, very simple to do. All you do need is just a screwdriver, and you can very easily pop them out. And I am going to briefly cover these mods. I'm not going to go into super specific detail, but if you guys would like me to actually make dedicated videos on each of these mods specifically, so I can reference you to those, if you have questions about them, definitely let me know them in the comments down below and I can do that for you. First thing we did was disassemble the stabs and then go through the process of actually clipping, lubing, and then also band-aid modding the PCB. And of course, the reason why I do this is so you can completely reduce or completely get rid of any rattle that may have been present or unevenness in the stabilizers to start off. If you wanted to get the most out of it, you could actually pick up some nicer plate-mounted stabilizers, as the included stock ones, usually on any like pre-built or hot swap board you order, aren't going to be the best, but for the sake of the video and keeping the price down, of course, I did just go ahead and stick with them, and they definitely sound like a million times better after the modding versus before. And I'll go ahead and throw you guys into a sound test of the before versus the after stabilizers, but I will say I accidentally left the Holy Panda switches in here for the sound test, but of course don't focus on the sound of the switch, just focus on the sound of the stabilizer, and you guys can see the difference for yourself. Next on the docket is to get our switches lubed, and this is an area where you can really either like splurge into some super expensive switches, or you can keep it on the more budget-friendly side. And in today's build, I'm going to be using our Kailh Reds, and they're definitely on the more budget-friendly side. But I mean, I think and love these switches. Really nice linear feel and sound to them, and you guys will obviously hear the finished product here coming up soon. Definitely a big recommendation for me. If you want another good linear switch though, something that's really well respected in the keyboard market are Gatoron Yellow, so there's some good choices for you guys there as far as budget switches go. Now it's going to come down to just mostly personal preference here, if you want to lube your switches or not, and the main thing with lubing them is just the sheer amount of time it takes. It's a very monotonous task, so if you're not someone who has hours to sit down and do one thing, then I definitely recommend just leaving them as is, or buying some switches that are already lubed. And if you want to film them as well, that's definitely optional. For me, I love the more muted sound to the switches, so I like to pop films in there if I'm already going to have them opened up for lubing. Obviously that's going to come down to each individual person, but you guys will hear the after effect of it. Definitely sounds really nice. And now for the icing on the cake, and definitely a spot where you're gonna get a lot of the looks or the aesthetics of the board, is gonna be those keycaps. And the ones I did go with are the ones I did just recently review on the channel, those HyperX Pudding Keycaps. They are a double shot PVC, and they have, of course, that frosted translucent housing on the edges, which are gonna create for that cool RGB look. You might like it, you might not. Obviously, it's gonna come down to personal preference, but for $25, I definitely think they're a great budget option. So now we're at the finished result here, and we're definitely ending up with something pretty much better than any pre-built you can pick up on the market as far as the sound and feel of it goes. Obviously, a decent amount of work goes into it, but if you're someone who wants to hop into it, I will tell you from personal experience, like going from the person that would just buy pre-built boards versus a custom build, there's definitely a big difference there in feel and sound. And then of course, having the ability to switch it up in the future is really nice. But I'll go ahead and throw you guys into the final sound test now with all the mods done. So if you guys are wanting to hop into the rabbit hole of custom keyboards, a hot swap, more budget-friendly build like this is definitely a great place to start. It's $110 for everything. I'll kind of break it down the screen so you can see what individual piece, how much each individual thing cost. Again, $110 is that budget-friendly in the pre-built market? Definitely not. When you start hopping into custom keyboards though, we see like, builds ranging from like $600 to $1,000, which is absolutely absurd. I'm obviously not saying do that, but $110 in the custom keyboard market, I would say, is a lot more budget friendly, and having the hot swap build like this really allows you that freedom to be able to switch things out, which is really nice to have, and you don't have to learn how to desolder or solder switches if you ever want to switch them out in the future. So I definitely say this is a good place to start at, and I hope it did help you guys out if you're figuring out maybe if you want to do it or not. Definitely recommend starting with a build like this though if you are getting into it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and if you did find it helpful and informative, please hit that like button for me and the subscribe button if you want to stay tuned for more future content just like this. If you have any questions about the process of building, or just any questions maybe about things to get for your keyboard, I'll definitely be willing to help you at least to the best I can, and trying to get back to you as quickly as I can as well. So I'll see you guys in the next video.